The spirit of abundance is freely, fully available to everyone. And that spirit of divine support, that divine energy, that divine light, it's fully, freely available to everyone. The other thing I just wanted to say, this is for you, but it's also for everyone listening. Interestingly enough, sometimes as we bring the light in, that lets those doubts rise into awareness in order to be seen and healed. So what you described can actually mean that what you're doing is working. So keep going, trust, keep going, because the light comes in and it sort of shows us, oh, okay, so this is just rising into the light in order to meet the light, and whatever touches light becomes light. It becomes transformed into the light. And so just have that faith that this practice of filling yourself with divine faith, divine abundance, divine light, it is actually working, and keep going.
Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes, and I'm happy to welcome Swami Nityananda. Did I get it right?
You were perfect.
Sweet. Yes, I was promising I was trying not to butcher your name. I am terrible at names, but anyway, you are a yoga teacher, spiritual teacher, and we're going to get to know all about you, and hopefully we can inspire and motivate folks out there. And to kick this off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing to say is, first of all, just hi. It's really great to talk with you, Kyle. It's a joy.
Thank you.
And I'm in Baltimore geographically. So I teach yoga philosophy and meditation at a meditation center. Our name is Awake Yoga Meditation, and we were founded by my teacher, Swami Shankarananda. So we don't do yoga asana the same way that you would at a yoga studio, but we study the teachings of truth, the teachings of oneness, which focus on the ways that all humans are connected. So the idea is that every human has light within ourselves, and the more we connect with that light, the more we live in peace and joy and radiance and good humor and generosity and kindness, the more we're able to get along and to be respectful and aware and responsive wherever we are in our daily lives.
Yeah, we have more in common than we give ourselves credit for, I feel.
Absolutely agree.
And one thing you talked about was teaching meditation. I will say meditation has changed my life in such a way I can't praise it enough. And people think, oh, well, you just get in a room and you do the Om and all that kind of stuff. No, it's more to it than that. My journey is that I have a lot of mental issues, depression, PTSD, anxiety, and they put me on every medication that you can think of. And it seemed like it was doing more harm than it was doing good. And I was starting to learn from other people about meditation. And so I slowly weaned myself off of my medications and found that if I meditated, even if it was 5 or 10 minutes before I got in a stressful situation, I could control my emotions. That, going into a crowd would cause so much panic. And if I meditate on it, I can go through and just pretty much with no hitches whatsoever. And so I'm a big advocate on meditation. So maybe you can explain it in another way to kind of maybe let the audience know how powerful meditation really is.
First of all, just respect and joy, and thank you for your spiritual honesty and your courage sharing your story in that way. It's so important to hear how meditation affects an actual human and an actual human body. And so thank you. And what you just said actually demonstrates in miniature what the yogic teachers talk about. And so they say that there are pathways through the brain. The yogic term for this is samskaras. So there are these groups, these patterns, these energy workings that we create in our brains. So what happens as we meditate is we actually can take a pathway of pain and transform it into a pathway of peace. So we can take a pathway of anxiety and transform it into a pathway of courage and steadiness. And this is something that yogis have known and have taught for millennia. And we're able actually now using functional magnetic resonance imaging to demonstrate that, to show the way meditation changes the pathways of the brain. So as you said, it can help transform and bring a sense of mental peace and wholeness and wellness. And it's also true, like people who have neurodiversity find that meditation can help them be calm and interact in a balanced and aware way. And you were talking, you didn't use this phrasing, but emotional regulation is a way that you can describe what you were saying, so that we can have the ability to choose how to respond. So we can gain awareness and we don't have to respond through reacting, but we have the ability to take a step back and to decide, how would I like to respond? How could I bring positivity into the situation? How could I create peace? How could I create solutions that allow everyone to feel this is a win-win situation? And so it also transforms things like our immune system, our sleep, our relationships. And then also, just like as a postscript, I would say I'm so excited for you that it worked to taper down off of your medications. And I would just say, in general, do that with consultation of the medical prescribers who are giving you your medications.
Oh yeah. In this day and age, we have to be careful. So I have to stress, I am not a doctor. I'm just saying this is what worked for me. Don't do anything without talking to your doctor first, because it could be just as detrimental. I had to take quite a bit of time before I was able to wean myself off of it. If you try to go cold turkey, I I do not recommend that whatsoever, because you can cause some harm if you try to go cold turkey on it. That we took a trip to New York, and I got on a subway for the very first time. You're talking about a stressful situation, but that moment that I took before we got on the subway to let myself know, hey, everything's going to be fine. Once I was on there, I had my wife with me, and so I could kind of concentrate on her as well. She helps to calm me down. If so, I have my daughters with me, I can do the same thing with her. She helps to keep me calm. If I'm, I don't know, in a convention center or something, I know where the exits are. I know all that stuff. So if you can just talk yourself, because you talk yourself into a frenzy if you want to, you can do the same thing, but calm yourself down. I don't think people realize that's what meditation is, at least for me.
That's absolutely brilliantly expressed. And just thank you so much. Very much respect to you and to your whole family for your honesty and your courage in sharing that. And yes, I mean, I would say absolutely that we each have the capacity to down regulate our nervous system. And this is really helpful because we receive a lot of invitations to up regulate our nervous system. And it's fantastic to have the ability to, like if you need to sprint to evade whatever it is, say you're running from a cheetah or whatever, you're presenting at work and your boss is like a cheetah and it feels like you're running from a cheetah. So you need to be able to have that adrenaline, you need to be able to have that dopamine, but then our constant sort of like being on call and being online and being on means that it can be very challenging to be a human these days, because we don't get as much practice in calming and in down regulating our nervous system. So what you were talking about, it's available, it's present, and it's possible.
Oh yeah, it's just the same with sleep. I used to not be able to go to sleep without a sleeping pill, and I was fortunate enough I have a doctor now who won't prescribe it to me. And so I was like, what am I supposed to do? And then a friend of mine who does meditation, she was telling me how I could calm myself down and go to sleep, because sometimes I'll wake up, it'll be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then all this stuff is running through my brain and I can't calm myself down. I can't go back to sleep. And if I go into that meditative state, I can actually calm myself down, relax all those voices. And if it works for me, I guarantee you it can work for anyone else.
That is so beautifully expressed. And yes, I mean, just gratitude and joy and respect for you. It's really important, I think, to hear stories of humans sharing, like, this works for me. This is what I've learned. And the other thing that I would say I really love about the yogic tradition and the yogic teachings is the yogis say, put it to the test, put it to practice in your own body, in your own life, and see, like, does it work for you? And there are also refinements and adjustments. And so it's really wonderful if you have access to like a meditation community, a meditation teacher, that can be very supportive because then you're receiving instruction that's tailor-made for you, that's really designed to most support you in your body and in whatever you're working to transform. Most humans have something that they're being invited to transform.
It's crazy how once I started getting into the like doing it regularly, whenever I'm trying to sleep, and to like, well, I'll drift off and then I'll wake up the next morning going, wow, that really freaking worked.
It is so fantastic as well because I would also say there's a way in which the sleep becomes deeper and almost like this,
Mhm.
it becomes sweeter and more regenerative. And I think so. And then also, like, you know this, everyone knows this, when you've had a sweet, nourishing, regenerative night's sleep, it kind of makes you sweet and nourishing and regenerative in your relationships and in all of your tasks. And so then there's like this sweetness of energy that's able to share through you, which is also a joy for everyone in your life.
Oh, yeah, ask my wife. Now also with mindset, how we kind of, especially I guess I'd say me, I had bashed myself for years. Always find how I'm doing this wrong and that wrong, and always negative to myself. I'm my own worst enemy, my own worst critic. Um, Explain how we can change that mindset through meditation.
Yes, absolutely. And so what you just said actually, in your own words, perfectly articulates an insight from the yogic teachings. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, we are our own best friend. We are our own worst enemy. So the idea is to be less of your own worst enemy and more of your own best friend. And you were just talking, we can become aware of our own patterns, and then we can make a decision to shift those patterns. So one example that just came to me, my teacher, Swami Shankarananda, wrote a book on working with intentions, and it's called Creating a Life You Love, 1001 Intentions. It's available on our website, awakeyogameditation.org, if you're interested. And it talks about how we can become aware of areas that we would like to transform. So you were just talking about like self-talk and the way that we approach ourselves and almost cultivating like a relationship of respect and caring and appreciation and friendship with ourselves. And so that's a book that would provide a really direct and accessible framework if you were interested and you wanted to learn more. If you want to try it right now, we can play with this. And so
Sure.
this is something I mean, you're so honest. Do you mind sharing? Like, is there any area of your life that you would love to bring this energy of transformation into right
Oh
now?
my gosh. I still struggle from time to time with the um I must say I'm my worst critic.
Okay.
I have a hard time with like convincing myself that I am able to do certain things,
Okay.
and not so well, the only other word I could think of right now is critical of everything I do.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. And then my next question for you. So one of the things about the yogic tradition is we have a teaching that says truth is one. It is called by various names. So I'm going to ask you by what name you would call truth. And so would you be comfortable with the phrasing, the light within me? Does that phrase resonate with you? Another phrase would be like the divine within me. And so I'm just curious, like, how would you refer to that in you, which is kind and calm and cheerful and aware, like that highest self, that true self within yourself? What phrasing would you use for that?
Well, it's funny because you mentioned both in two different sentences, but the divine light. is kind of the way I look at it.
Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. So one way to shift that, let's say that you are contemplating, and I'm using Kyle because he's so gracious and honest and courageous as an example, but this equally applies to any listener, any situation. So say that you're approaching whatever it is, and you're finding yourself that your mind is going into those patterns of critical self-talk, and you want to shift that. And so the first thing that you notice is just, oh, I notice. I'm starting to criticize myself. I would prefer not to keep moving in that direction. So I'm going to pause. So I choose to pause and take a step back. The divine light in me knows how to do this. The divine light in me takes care of this. The divine light in me is fully qualified to be present. The divine light in me connects me with solutions. The divine light in me is confident. The divine light in me is courageous. The divine light in me is aware of the divine light in the one with whom I am speaking. The divine light in me is able to reach out and connect with the wholeness, with the integrity in the one with whom I am speaking. And you can see, like you can actually feel as soon as you offer that, there's a shift from coming from the human personality level. Human personalities are wonderful, charming, quirky, right? But they don't always see the full picture. And then when we're connecting with this divine light within ourselves, which is also connected with the divine light in the other, all of a sudden we're part of this field of vast universal awareness. And that field of vast universal awareness knows far more than the individual human mind. And so it's able to tune in wordlessly and guide us. Like, is this a situation when I'm talking to this person when actually the best thing I could do would be silent and smile? And then sometimes we'll know actually humor would be a really helpful thing to bring in, like a kind of genuine, good-hearted humor to bring in this case. Or maybe the thing that I can do right now that's most helpful is to offer a physical hand, to carry that physical burden that the person is carrying right now. And or there's a wise, inspired word of kindness that might connect with this person and be of assistance and support right now. And the thing about this divine light within ourselves is it connects us directly to very simple, very pure, very positive solutions. Whereas the human mind really wants to complexify, it really wants to complicate things. It kind of creates all these stories and judgments and
Oh my gosh.
imaginings, right? And so the
Yeah.
divine light within you has got this. And so the moment you kind of connect with that, and then from moment to moment, listen to that, then gradually that becomes the field from which you operate consciously. And I would just say for you, you do this. I mean, I've listened to your interviews, like you do this, you connect naturally with people. You're always listening to this divine light. And so this is a matter of helping your human mind and your human self know, oh, actually the divine light in me has been operating all along. and to give yourself permission to say, really, oh, I can trust this divine light. It's actually kind of amazing. It knows exactly what's going on.
Oh my gosh. So I've been trying to do my meditation for manifestation, the last few nights, and it seems like just as I feel like I'm doing exactly what I was taught to do, that negative voice comes in, or should I say, to me, it's the devil trying to tell me, no, you can't do this. This isn't going to work. All those negative things. And I'm like, nope, you're not doing that to me. You're not going to do that to me this time. And so that's part of the meditation too, for me, is to get rid of that negative voice. So, I mean,
Yes.
I'm assuming y'all teach that as well.
Yeah, so when you were talking, I was hearing, as you were talking, I was hearing this echo of my teacher, Swami Shankarananda. I remember he was giving a meditation talk one time, and he was talking about exactly what you're saying. And what his advice was, he said, when that negativity wants to enter in, the command that he gave, he said, Satan, get thee behind me. And he said it
Yeah.
with so much authority. He said it with just like so much authority, like, no, this is just a non-option. You're gone. So, so that's one way, is just with absolute authority. But I also have to admit, for myself, I'm like, I don't want Satan behind me. So I would tend to say, negativity, doubt, despair, whatever that voice is that is making you sort of not be your highest frequency self, go to the light. And the light dissolves you. You melt into the light. Only the light is real, and only the light remains. And so I would tend to do that, like tend to banish that negativity in the direction of light and ask light to take care of it. Yeah, so either one of those. And I mean, just play with them, for any listener, play with either one of those and see if they resonate. So when a teaching resonates, you'll practice it and you'll feel in your body, you'll feel a shift. You'll feel sort of like a calm or a sense of relief or like, whew, like that works.
Oh my
And then there's
gosh,
like
yeah.
a gratitude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's something I try to express all the time, is that gratitude will change your attitude. Be thankful for what you have and know that you can have more, and you do deserve it. I mean, why are you any different than anybody else on this planet? You deserve, all things that are out there.
This
So whenever that voice is saying, nope, you don't deserve it, you shouldn't, this isn't going to work for you, that's when you say, nope, you get out of the way. I won't, you're not going to have any part of this. This is going to work.
The spirit of abundance is freely, fully available to everyone. And that spirit of divine support, that divine energy, that divine light, it's fully, freely available to everyone. The other thing I just wanted to say, this is for you, but it's also for everyone listening. Interestingly enough, sometimes as we bring the light in, that lets those doubts rise into awareness in order to be seen and healed. So what you described can actually mean that what you're doing is working. So keep going, trust, keep going, because the light comes in and it sort of shows us, oh, okay, so this is just rising into the light in order to meet the light, and whatever touches light becomes light. It becomes transformed into the light. And so just have that faith that this practice of filling yourself with divine faith, divine abundance, divine light, it is actually working, and keep going.
Do you attribute that negative energy is why so many people don't have, the things that they should have in life?
That's actually a really good question. I mean, I think some people, let me think of how to say this. Divine, so let's play with these principles, and I think we'll come to some answers. So we start off with that realization, divine abundance is freely available. And, like I can look out my window right now, and divine abundance, I'm looking out at a blue sky. That's divine abundance to me. And the trees are starting to leaf out. That's divine abundance to me. There's this one tree I'm looking at, and it's not doing anything. It's just being itself. And the bees are flocking to it. And so that's divine abundance too. And sort of like when we are our own full, beautiful, flowering, shining selves, naturally we will draw to us appreciation. I mean, that's an example. That tree is just being itself, and the bees are coming, and they're kind of like buzzing visibly all around it. So I think it's that each human actually is born with this built-in connectedness, this
Mhm.
built-in awareness of divine light and peace and joy and kindness and presence. And then at some point, the human structures of knowing help us disconnect from that. They help us doubt that. And we encounter experiences of pain and suffering and fear and limitation in our human journey. And then that makes us disbelieve. the underlying foundational presence of that divine support and that divine abundance. So if you've had painful experiences as a human, there's nothing wrong with you. That means you're moving through time and space. That means you're here in a human body. You are amazing divine light here in a human body. And so it's giving yourself almost like that freedom and that self-empowerment to remember that incredible divine light that is present within you, independent of what you have gone through. Then, when you connect with that divine light, you are in a position of respect in relationship to yourself. And then, when you're in a position of respect and kindness and generosity in relation to yourself, everywhere you go, you can't help it. That will be reflected back to you. And so, this is like everything from family members to people you encounter, like on the bus or the train or walking down the sidewalk or walking through the grocery store. There will just be kindness and respect that will be radiated back to you. So this is also to say the truth, which is that even if we have things to heal as a result of our human journey, everyone can heal. That wholeness and that healing, it's available freely and fully for everyone now. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. There never has been and there never will be.
Well, I was talking to a gentleman last week that he was telling me one of the reasons why manifestation isn't working for some folks is because, one, they're not even thankful for what they already have. And number two, instead, whenever you ask for something, you're like, oh, please give me this. You're basically telling the universe that you don't have it. And that's that negative part. That's like not why you're not getting it, is you brought in that negativity. It says just be thankful as if you already have it. Like, oh, thank you for giving that to me. And that will draw those things to you. Is that the way y'all look at it?
So, I mean, what you just said, Jesus says that. Jesus says, give thanks as if you have already received. Ask
Yeah.
and believing you will receive. So
Mm-hmm.
that's some pretty good authority right there. And so to put this into practice, I mean, the yogic advice would be practice this. And so start by noticing, and this is like, I notice the beauty that is here right now in this moment. I notice that every cell of my body is divine abundance taking the form of that cell of my body. I notice that the breath that is breathing through me, the heartbeat that is beating through me, that's divine abundance right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll just be like almost like humming and tingling and buzzing and singing with this divine abundance energy. And so then that will be reflected in your experiences because you're noticing and appreciating the beauty and the magnificence of what is there. It's also fair to say divine abundance takes so many different forms. So in the yogic tradition, abundance is also abundance of time, abundance of friendship, abundance of family love or community, like that pure unconditional caring and love. Or abundance might come to you in the form of health or positive energy or the ability to express yourself creatively, like whatever your talent be, like whether that be music or you have a healing modality that you share energy with, or you like to bake, or you like to build things with metal or with wood, or whatever your computer code, like whatever your expressive talents are, that's actually divine abundance. You're always connected to it. There's no human who's ever separate from divine abundance. And so it's to sort of like notice that every human, we're an expression of divine abundance. So notice what's already present and move in that energy, share that energy very generously and freely. It's sort of like that, the more that you can circulate that kindness and whatever is best and bright and good, the more that will circulate back to you. And the other thing I would say about the laws of energy, it doesn't always come in a one-to-one correlation. Like you won't necessarily be kind to one person and have that same person be kind back to you. That's actually conditional kindness. But if you're unconditionally kind, you'll just be kind in general, and it can come back to you from someone else. So if you're kind to someone who's being like a cranky pants that particular day, they don't have the ability to be kind back to you. No worries, like let it go. like kind of brush it off the way that you've seen a swan shake drops of water off of itself, that kindness will come back to you. Just that's the way the laws of energy work. And so you can trust them. And the more that you sort of purify your heart and clear your mind, and you sort of are trusting and noticing and appreciating the circulation of these laws of energy, the laws of abundance, the laws of kindness, the more you'll notice they're just everywhere. And that energy of divine support, it's everywhere.
So I have to ask you, what are your abilities?
In terms of what?
Because I feel like you're connecting with me.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just intuition. I mean, yogis would say that's intuition. And what yogis would say is that there is a process that every human goes through. The way Jesus says this in the Sermon on the Mount, he says, the pure of heart will see God. And so yogis say that it's possible. There are specific practices that we can embark upon that purify our heart so that we connect with light in everyone. And so when we do that, we're just naturally sort of responding. It's a natural human awareness. And I would say, so you mentioned earlier in our conversation, humans do this all the time. Like you said, your wife and your daughter really connect with you. Like they can read you energetically and they know when they can help you be calm. They can help you ground your energy. Humans do this on a regular basis. So this is just sort of like, trying to think of how to say this, the same way that you can walk into a room and no word is spoken and you can tell what's what the energy of that room is. This is freely available to everyone. And it is true as well. The more that we meditate, the more this is able to share with us. And it's just natural kindness. It's just that, you know, I was talking earlier, there's like divine light in you, there's divine light in me, there's divine light in everyone. And so the more you're noticing this divine light, the divine light will just let you know, like what is helpful, what is hopeful, what would be of service here. Another thing that I would say, yogis are really clear about the motivation really, really matters. So the motivation will be most effective if you want to talk about enlightened self-interest, if you're offering it for the good of all. And so the idea is like whatever you pray, pray it for all. So don't ask for anything for yourself that you cannot also ask for all. And if you're asking for something for yourself and you're asking for it for all, it's much more likely to flow into your experience because it'll be benefiting all. And so just to be really clear for everyone, the intention for all of us in our daily lives is, can I approach every moment, every relationship, every conversation, every task with this attitude of how may I be most helpful? How may I be most hopeful? How may I be most kind? How may I invite inspired wisdom from within myself to be of assistance and support? How can I be of service? How can I help?
And also, when it comes to the traumas in your life, and not only overcoming those traumas, but turning that around and being able to help others who have gone through trauma. You help with that as well.
It is a natural byproduct of coming into contact with meditation, coming into contact with that divine light within yourself and within others as well. So the other thing that I want to just name, and I want to do this in a really honest way, and thank you for your honesty in asking the question, it takes incredible courage to be here as a human because humans experience trauma. And I just want to acknowledge with deep respect, and I'm not saying this is easy, I don't know of a single human who has not experienced trauma. And so I'm not meaning to say that this is like an easy, quick fix. And it is possible to heal. It is possible to come into contact with the wholeness within yourself, to trust the wholeness within yourself. And as we trust the wholeness within ourselves, we're sort of, so if you're comfortable with the word the divine or God or divine light, whatever your word for it is, the more that you feel directly, my life is founded in the divine, the foundation, the root, the core of my life. It's grounded in the divine. Then you know no matter what, you're always okay. So because you're aware of like that energy of, you could call it like the courageous heart, or you could call it like the the kind of like wide open freedom and self-empowerment of our spirit or our soul, our energy, that is unbreakable. The human body can be broken. The human heart can be broken. The human mind can experience incredible anguish, but that divine light within us is undimmable. It is undiminishable. There's nothing that can touch it or tarnish it. And so when we are in contact with that, that is actually what lets us navigate. Time and space has dualities. It has contrast. It has pleasure. It has pain. It has gain. It has loss. It has victory, but it also has defeat. And so that's the way time and space is going to be. And then when we are that amazing light within ourselves, which is also within everyone else, we are open-hearted and we're able to be kind. We're able to be this energy of inspiration and responsiveness and respect and awareness everywhere that we find ourselves.
Well, I will say my wife she's been my inspiration to get back on my spiritual journey, which was something that I jumped off of a long time ago. I used to preach and got away from it. I walked away from God. I walked away from the church, and it took me a few years, but finally found someone who encouraged me to get back on my spiritual path. And I love God. I know God exists. I don't want to imagine the world without God. Where is there any hope if you don't think that after you're gone from this life that you're not going to see God one day? And I kind of can see some reluctance from other people when they hear us talk about meditation and yoga. They're like, oh, that's that hippy dippy stuff. And I don't think they realize that's how that's how I communicate with God, is through meditation. I mean, that's what prayer is.
Yes, I mean, so you just said a lot. So I want to bounce back a couple of things. I mean, one, the importance of community in our spiritual path. And so you were just naming that your wife helps you to be steady on your spiritual path. And that's an amazing thing. Like at Awake Yoga Meditation, it's amazing to have community and to have that support of others on the spiritual path. And so I just want to acknowledge that it's an amazing thing to have that energy and to see other people who are doing their best to live the truth in a human body, in a human heart, with a human mind. And the other thing you said is you were talking about you can't imagine a world without God. And that made me remember something my teacher, Swami Shankarananda, said. He said, we're always choosing between despair and God. Choose God. And so that was his word for it. He was comfortable with that word. So, and for listeners, if you're comfortable with that word, that's perfect. If you prefer a different word, please use the word that you prefer, that helps you be your highest self, your best self, your energy of kindness and awareness and forgiveness. And then for anyone who's sort of reluctant, I mean, complete respect. And so meditation is available for anyone whenever they like, and it can't be forced on anyone. But I would add that meditation is intensely practical. And so I hope that our conversation has helped illustrate that a little bit. Like yogis have very high ideals, but they're also very practical. And they say, this helps us be better parents, better children, better friends, better spouses, better partners in any area of our life, like whether we're talking business or any other area. This helps us be whatever we are here to be. It helps us access that and it helps us be that joyfully in a way that's really delightful and wise and fun.
So if others out there are interested and they want to learn more, do you have a website?
We do. So our website is awakeyogameditation.org. And I would say for anyone who's enjoyed this conversation, we recently published a book, and the title of the book is Awake, the Yoga of Pure Awareness. So check out that book. You can buy that through our website. If you liked this conversation, I think you would like that book. It also conveys some of the spiritual principles, but also stories of humans, just very inspiring stories of ordinary humans who are so courageous and honest, and they go beyond the limits of what seems humanly possible. And I would say humans do that all the time. We always are doing what seems humanly impossible. So it can just be really inspiring to connect with that. For anyone who wants to meditate with us, it's very fun. And we meditate for anyone in the Baltimore or DC or Philly area geographically. We meditate in person on Sundays. We also meditate online on Sundays. And so you can find from awakeyogameditation.org, there are links to joining our meditations on Zoom or on YouTube. We meditate Tuesdays and Fridays. And again, you can just join us on Zoom or YouTube. We have e-courses that are available. There's a podcast if you want to hear more. We also share teachings on Facebook and on Instagram. So there's an Instagram Awake Yoga Meditation, and there's an Instagram Swami Nityananda Gary. So we would love to come and meet you. We would love to meditate with you. Everyone's freely, fully welcome.
Well, I'm going to share all those links in the description, so it'll be easy for folks to find you. And I can't thank you enough. I really enjoy these conversations. It opens my eyes to even more than what I've already experienced, and I appreciate it.
It's an absolute joy, and respect and gratitude for you, for your family, for your listeners, and just thank you for the divine light that you are and that you're sharing.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I also want to tell y'all how much I appreciate y'all. If you are new to this channel, hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. For my regulars, you guys, you make it possible for me to do this, and there's no words to express how much I appreciate you. So until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network